Beautiful people, today we need to talk, and we need to talk about Bungie, about Marathon, about the Q&A that just happened here on May 16th, and how it has left me with infinitely much more concern than confidence in anything Bungie has going on right now. Before we talk about the gameplay and my takeaways from it and all that jazz, we need to address the elephant in the room first and foremost. We have to talk about the plagiarism that was brought to the light. And as I'm sure you are well aware by the time you watch this video, there were several Marathon art assets that were blatantly plagiarized, copied, whatever term we want to use. There's no working around that, or no getting around that, I should say. And the person who had her assets blatantly ripped off, plagiarized, stolen, whatever we want to call it, she goes by the name Anti-Real. Bungie opened up this Q&A by blatantly acknowledging this, and Joseph Cross, who is one of the franchise art directors, I don't really know what that title means, but I would assume that he has one of those higher up positions in regard to the art team. He apologized on behalf of Bungie and the development team. He made sure to have his statement written out so he wouldn't miss any key points. And regardless if you believe that this apology was sincere or not, this was a huge oversight, and things like this just can't happen, yo. Especially when we're talking about a studio of this scale, come on. Now, we do know Cross himself was not directly responsible for the plagiarism, but at the same time, when you are front-facing, you're in a leadership position, a managerial position, whatever we want to call it, you have to be held liable for what happens under your supervision. Yo, that's just the nature of the role. That comes with the territory. And I'm gonna be honest, if you watch the stream, you could see from his body language that he was uneasy. He was distraught, Whether if that came from internal consequences or genuine remorse, he was totally out of there. The gravity of that moment was clear. Now, I know we don't want to give Bungie any credit whatsoever, and I'm honestly right there because I'm super frustrated about this all. But again, kinda to their credit a little bit, or whatever we want to call it, they did reach out to Anti-Real, and they are actively working to make things right. Things probably won't ever be right, but to right their wrong as much as possible. Now, we don't know if that means that they're going to compensate her for the assets that were utilized. I know they're scrubbing the assets, so they won't even be utilizing them in the game, actually. But regardless, if they compensate her for that, if they compensate her for future commissions, freelance work, whatever, that needs to happen. And truth be told, it needs to happen publicly, because this all unfolded publicly. The apology was public, and us as the community, the consumer, whatever you want to call us, we need to see that y'all standing on business here and y'all are doing everything y'all can to right this ship. And honestly, more important than us needing to see it publicly, Anti-Real needs for this to take place publicly so that she can get her flowers and she can get the recognition she deserves for her hard work actually being displayed to the masses. I do appreciate that Bungie went ahead and they jumped on this. They took this L to the chin, and they're working to rectify the issue, even though this shouldn't have happened in the first place. But transparency like this is important. Taking L's in front of hundreds of thousands of people on the internet, this is important. Now, Bungie, you all need to make sure this, I almost cussed, I don't want to cuss for the sake of YouTube. We need to make sure this doesn't happen again. This is the fourth time this type of thing has happened. Of course, the other 3 times didn't involve Marathon, but still, underneath Bungie's supervision, there have been 4 accusations, of which we know this one is 100% legit, and we know it happened in-house. You can't blame this one on a third party, Bungie. Now again, right this wrong to the best of your very own ability so that we can move forward and you all can somewhat try to rebuild the trust of the community, if that's even possible at this point. Now that I got that out the way, let's actually talk about some of the things that were discussed here about Marathon. Now that I addressed that and got that out the way, for lack of a better term, let's talk about the actual Q&A and the actual developer conversation, for lack of a better term. Yo, I'm gonna be honest, a quick TLDR, I don't think the dev team really even knows what the heck is even going on, and that statement will make much more sense as I explain more of this developer conversation / Q&A type of thing. The first topic we're going to talk about is the survival loop design, and the developers admitted that the core survival gameplay loop is totally incomplete right now, because players were showered with ammunition, health resources, weapons, and things of that nature, which made that survival element feel non-existent. They did acknowledge that this totally needs to change, and they're going to be incorporating things like reducing drop rates and bringing in environmental hazards that will make it much more challenging for you to traverse the landscape. They also intend on reworking the enemy AI so they feel much more like a threat, because right now players can run around the AI, they can lace them up easily, come and go as they please, you name it, and Bungie ain't digging that. So they want you to expect more, for lack of a better term, grounded AI behaviors. So when we get a chance to check out the next build, expect enemy AI to disengage, rotate, flank, and just try to approach fighting you in much more of an intelligent fashion. But kind of a caveat and kind of a reoccurring theme is that they're talking about doing this, right? They're talking about iterating features like this, you know? These aren't implemented systems, or this isn't an implemented thing just yet. They're still ideas. And I'm not a fan of ideas, especially this far in development. Like, yo, this needs to be implementation happening at this exact moment in time, yo. A couple other things that were highlighted as key issues that they wanted to address were things like crew play, the overall matchmaking, and even the resurrection system or the revive mechanics currently in game. Bungie is now doing things like reworking the revive mechanics so that it may take longer for you to revive a down teammate, and that if a teammate is fully eliminated and you go to begin the revive, if you let off of the revive, that revive meter will start to depreciate a bit. They also did admit to solo players feeling powerless, rightfully so, and there is talk about further adjusting TTK values and things like that for solo viability possibly in the future. Of course, this will be dependent upon your gear, the rarity of the gear, and all that stuff, but they are trying to balance things there a bit more. So they say, because right now at the end of the day, solos feel completely like they have no chance at all, and they want to kind of change that paradigm a little bit. But again, these are adjustments that are being talked about, that are like in progress, nothing that's being implemented or nothing that is currently happening at this exact moment in time, right? Like they don't have the values that they want to change and the things that they want to work on. Like, again, there's just a lot of talk. And I think at this moment in time, we need more action, yo. Build crafting is another area where Bungie is trying to make some pretty large promises at. Bungie is doing things like taking perks off of like high tier weaponry, or I should say high tier weapon attachments, and placing them into like a new chip system that allows for more overall cross weapon flexibility. These chips will be showing up at lower rarities and should offer players a bit more agency when it comes to building the loadout that they preference. They did feel like progression in the alpha was way too fast, which kind of raised my eyebrows. I was like, huh? And they're looking at doing things like slowing down the faction progression system, tightening the material economy, and improving the black market system so that players can customize builds in more of a consistent fashion. When I heard this, I was like, fast progression? Like, I don't think it was too fast, but I do like that you all are taking another pass at the material economy, the black market, and all that stuff. It sounds promising, but again, it's all conceptual right now. We're just having conversations about this. Nothing is like really being done just yet. Now, visually, the team is really doing their due diligence to ramp things up and try to create that like immersive cyber mercenary fantasy. They're fixing lighting issues from the alpha, enhancing environmental like minute details such as leaving blood trails behind if you've been shot, and also they intend to tune the UI and overall character fashion to hit that blue-collar, gritty, sci-fi-esque type of vibe. Now, of course, Bungie couldn't showcase any of that because they're dealing with the plagiarism scandal, so we didn't get to see any of that, rightfully so. And right now, Bungie is scrubbing and auditing every single asset they have in game to, I guess, triple check or quadruple check that nothing else was plagiarized, stolen, or anything of that nature. You know, Bungie, this probably should have been done a long time ago, and honestly, it probably was done a long time ago, but it was not done as thorough as it should have been, and that's a fact. But anyways, let's set all that aside for a second. I want y'all to think about something, and I'm sure you all have drawn this conclusion as well. Yo, at the time of me recording this again, it's May 16th. Marathon is scheduled to release what? September 23rd. So if I do some quick math, Marathon is what? June, July, August, September. So it's 4 months and like 7 days away. right? Based on everything that I heard in this devlog slash Q&A thingy, yo, this game is not ready, man. It's not even close to being ready. Everything discussed today felt like a pre-production meeting, not like we're ramping up for a launch 4 months from now. It felt like we were getting ready to put together like an alpha build, a tech test, or something along the lines of that, you know? I mean, the phrases that Joe Ziegler and the other developers just kept reiterating were things like, we're having a conversation about this. We're investing that. We're still figuring this out here. I don't know about you all, and I don't know what you all think, but that's not the language of a game that's entering its final polishing phase. That's the language of a project that is still deeply in development, man. And really, as much as I hate to admit it, actually, I don't really hate to admit it anymore. Marathon needs time, and it needs much more time. First and foremost, Marathon needs time to cool off from this plagiarism scandal. It needs time to rebake its overall mechanics, time to rework its resurrection systems, the crew dynamics, the progression systems, the overall core gameplay loop, like, yo, all of the above. This ain't something that's going to get fixed in a patch or two post-launch, yo. And let's be honest, the game shouldn't even launch in a state that needs 1 to 2 patches to fully fix it. And yo, in my honest opinion, I think the game should be pushed back to like, I don't know, February, March of 2026. Let's think about this. If the game is pushed back to, let's just say, let's keep it simple. Let's say if the game is pushed back to February, that gives them October, November, December, January. Let's say they push it back to the end of February. So that gives them 5 solid months on top of what we have right here. So that gives them 9 more months to further flesh things out and to further develop things that really need to get worked on. I don't know about you all, but 9 months sounds so much better than just 4. And then too, when you really think about it, like nothing else is launching in that window, at least nothing else that comes to mind. Like we may have GTA 6 releasing May 26th of 2026. And that date is not concrete, I believe. So GTA 6 can be pushed back even further. You're launching far enough away from the next Call of Duty and the next Battlefield title, so those games should not disrupt what you have going on. And the icing on the cake, you can give Anti-Real her reparations, let all that stuff cool down, and really pour into the project the way you all need to, because if you all release this game in a state that needs patch after patch after patch after patch after patch to get the game where it needs to be, the game is done, yo. The game is done. I've been really trying my hardest to not jump on the DOA train because I just don't really believe in that. And I want to see this game really, really do well. But you all would literally be pointing the gun at your noggin and playing Russian roulette with 4 bullets in the chamber, and the chamber only holds 6 rounds. Like, truthfully, you all would be doing that. So Bungie, hear me when I say Marathon, I believe on paper and what I played in the alpha is fascinating, and it does have some solid potential. But if you all rush this out the door, y'all ain't getting that back, yo. Y'all not gonna get people a year down the road that are gonna give Marathon another chance, because I'm gonna be honest, they are not. They're going to look at the history of everything that transpired prior to this game releasing, from the alpha being buns, no matter if it was a vertical slice or not, whatever you all want to say, to the plagiarism, to everything that has happened to Bungie in the backlog. They're going to look at all that stuff and they're going to say, you know what? I'm cool. I'm going to just keep rocking out with Arc Raiders, or I'm going to be playing GTA 6 or whatever other games are out at that moment in time. They're going to pour into those games and they are not going to give Marathon a second look. You all have one shot to nail this first impression. And it's not even a first impression anymore. Well, maybe to the masses, it's a first impression. But you all got one shot here. You got one opportunity to pull that trigger. All right? Just one. Y'all better do it right and y'all better not miss. Because if y'all do, Marathon is going under. Sony is sweeping in and they are clearing shop and doing whatever they want to do. And Destiny is going to keep looking at y'all like the big brother watching their little brother get their teeth kicked in. Like, ooh, man, I'm glad I ain't y'all, you know? Actually, that doesn't really make sense after I say it, because like Destiny is underneath Bungie. But you all understand what I'm saying here, right? Marathon will be done and Bungie will have wished that they poured all those resources into a Destiny 3 or like a Destiny-esque side project, you know? But with this all being said, let me know what you all think down in the comments below. I have a pretty good idea of what the consensus would be. I really was reluctant to make this video, but I said, Joe, I have to, man. I absolutely have to. I've been a vocal voice for Marathon, for maintaining cautious optimism and expecting the worst but hoping for the best. But after today, after seeing everything that I seen today and experiencing that and feeling like absolute crap as I was watching that Q&A, I'm like, yo, I gotta put this out there, man. And then I'm gonna just leave it be. I will continue to cover Marathon as much as I can and continue to give updates and continue to try to be as objective as humanly possible. But right now, with where Marathon stands, yo, it ain't looking good, dog. It ain't looking good in the slightest bit. But again, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna leave it all to you. Let me know how we are feeling down in the comments below. I'm signing off. I love you all. Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. No peace sign here because, man, this is some mess, man. I gotta leave.